Thank you for listening to My Best 11 Pod. We are currently accepting applications for advertisement and sponsorships. You can reach us at My Best 11 Pod or mybest11pod@gmail.com. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to another episode of My Best 11 podcast. We'd like to welcome on this week a player who has played for a number of teams, came through the ranks at Luton, and then spent a bit of time at Selhurst Park for the Eagles, but spent the majority of his career working and spending his time up north with the Latics. If you haven't guessed it so far, yes, it is Mr. Emmerson Boyce. Welcome, Emmerson Boyce. How are you, sir?
I'm great, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, awesome. And of course, as ever, we have my co-host and co-founder of this podcast, Marvin Johnson. How are you, Marv?
Good morning, Andrew. I'm good, thank you. Good morning, Boycey. I know it's not morning to you, but good afternoon. I'm happy to be here and interviewing another ex-teammate of mine.
It's going to be awesome. So we'll get straight into it. Now, the first thing we always ask is, I gave you a little bit of a clue there, but maybe we'll chuck in Alfredson as well. We wanted to add in a bit of a quiz at the start. Can you tell me the nickname of every single team you've ever played for?
The nicknames.
The nicknames. I'm putting you on the spot here. This is one we don't tell you about.
Yeah, you got to get Luton's one, obviously. You must know the nickname of the Luton.
Yeah, Hatters, yeah. Sorry, I thought you put the question. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, the Hatters, Eagles, the Latics, and the Seaside. I don't know Blackpool's one. I think it's Seasiders, maybe.
Is he right?
It's the Seasiders or the Tangerines, is what they're also called.
Tangerines, that's the one, yeah. Tangerines, that orange kit.
It is. It must be orange. Orange has appealed you. Obviously, when you were at Luton, they weren't wearing orange, I don't think, too much, maybe a bit. Were they with the Skefco on the front?
One of our kits was the orange. Remember that? Yeah. So orange must follow me around. Trying to think of Wigan. I think we had some dodgy kits at Wigan as well. So Luton, Blackpool, and thing were the orange ones. So yeah, Blackpool. So yeah, it was all good.
And you're now, of course, playing at. You come out of retirement, elite athlete, coming out of retirement, playing for Alfredson Town.
Yeah, Ashton Town. Yeah, come
out
Ashton there.
Town, Ashton. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically, the reason why I come out of retirement was the chairman of Ashton Town, Mark Hayes. He does a lot for Joseph Goal, who's the ambassador I am at. He was our lucky mascot in the FA Cup final, and he puts charity games on every year. Out of the kindness of his heart, puts all the money towards the charity, and. No, we normally have it every year, and obviously with the pandemic now, we couldn't have it this year. We were just talking, having a conversation, and he asked me if I want to come and play a couple of games for him. And I said, yeah. You should sort of look on his face. It's like, I think it was more of a tongue-in-cheek question than anything else. But for me, to be able to give something back to him for all his generosity he's done over the years, because end of the day, he didn't need to put the charity games on, and he wanted to do it to help the charity. And the least I can do is do something for him. And this was a way of helping him and raising the profile as well, because he may not always get the recognition that he deserves. And for me to get back into football opportunity, it's great.
Awesome. It's great. So we'll get straight into the team. First question is, what's your formation? Obviously being a right back and a bit of centre back and a right wing back. What formation have you gone for? Have you gone uber defensive or have you gone attacking?
I've gone attacking with three at the back. I've gone 3-2-3-1. So yeah, so
3-2-3-1.
I've got. Yeah, 3-2. Wait, I've got count there. I've got to count now. I think what? Yeah.
That's 10 players.
3-2-3.
No, I've got two strikers. Two strikers.
3-2
at the top.
3-2.
Yeah, I've got John Barnes. I've got John Barnes. Imagination with formation. Attacking, a lot of hard work.
I like that, Boycey, because when with the girls who I coach now, when we're chasing games, we normally play 4-3-3. If we're chasing games, I switch to a 3-2-3-2. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
You know, yes, we're very much possession-based, dominating the ball. So if we lose the ball, we're going to be in trouble.
So who's the person then it's going to be left holding the can at the back when all your players are running forward? Who's going to be the goalie who has to sit there and go, "What's going on?" What we can do, Mark? You explain.
Yes, I mean, hopefully, like, you can just give us a little bit of clues about, like, this. I mean, each player, and then we'll try and guess, like, before we actually say the name, sort of thing. If that makes sense, Boycey, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so the first clue, I'll start back to my Luton days when I was first trying to break into the team. I managed to play a couple of games with him, but he went on to play in the Premier League. He was a fantastic shot stopper, great distribution with the ball. His reactions was very, very good. He went down to the South Coast, in the Bournemouth, Brighton area. But yeah, he was a good character, a typical goalkeeper, should we say, character-wise. But I come across him a few times playing against him, and he was still a fantastic shot stopper when I used to play.
Kelvin Davis.
Kelvin Davis, yeah. For me, it was when I was growing up, going through the ranks, I used to watch him play, and some of the saves that he used to make was absolutely fantastic. Great reflexes, and it's got how he used to distribute the balls as well. Was excellent.
So again, did you play with Kirkland then? At Wigan?
Kirky played, yeah. Kirky played.
Wow, that's a big credit to for picking Kelvin. I mean, and I'm not saying that Kelvin wasn't a great goalkeeper. You're right. He was probably one of the first goalkeepers I remember, like, who should be half decent on the field, didn't he? Kelvin.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Kirkland went to Liverpool, didn't he? Played at Liverpool.
Kirkland, we got Kirkland from Liverpool. He went to Wigan. Scott Carson as well was another fantastic goalkeeper, and El Habsi. Has some brilliant goalkeepers. The one that stuck out on me is, because I don't want to be too Wigan based as well.
That's good, man.
But again, when I was coming through the ranks at Luton, I remember watching him and seeing some of the saves that he pulled off, and then had the privilege of playing against him in the Premier League as well. I thought he should be my goalkeeper.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Just to go back to the comment you made a minute ago, he's got a goalkeeper's personality. What do you two mean by that when you two are laughing and giggling at that? What? Because I used to play in goal. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, and that's the typical goalkeeper question. What do you mean? But on the pitch, very, very brave. Obviously goalkeepers dive out feet, and obviously some of the shots they have to pull out, using any part of their bodies. You have to be very brave, and put it that way. And off the pitch, the sense of humour tends to be a bit different as well. Put it that way. So it's they like a laugh, but players on the field don't always find the jokes quite funny. Put it that way.
Fair. Okay.
In the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
Well, I'll move on quickly if that's all right with you. So you got three at the back. Are you playing? Are you looking to play one sweeper or just three at the back?
All my three at the back are fullbacks, so they can bring the ball out and contribute to midfield. Wow. So we are a very, very dominating ball playing defence. As I said, all comfortable on the ball. My first one, he'll play on the left side of the centre backs. He went on and played for Everton, captain Everton. Started his career at Wigan. He had a wonderful left foot. Went on, played for England, I think he did. Just recently retired. A Scouser.
Oh.
Leighton Baines.
He used to go up and down. Leighton Baines. Leighton Baines, yeah.
You're playing Leighton Baines in your centre back three. This is going to be a bonkers team, Emmerson.
No, it's very much confidence. You look at Arsenal, they put Tini there. You got to remember. Yeah. So not the height always matters. Cannavaro was one of the best defenders in the world. Wasn't the tallest. As I said, we're very much possession-based football, and we're chasing games. And as Guardiola likes to say, we like to dominate and win.
And he's no slouch. He's no.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you keep going, Mark.
No, so he was no slouch, Baines, was he? No, he was no slouch. I mean, it wasn't electrically quick as yourself, because I remember you being very, very quick, but like it wasn't no slouch, Leighton Baines.
And the reason why I've gone for this sort of formation as well is because you look at how Sheffield United been playing. Their centre backs get very much attacking, so I took inspiration from them as well.
That's true. That's true.
I'm quite backing up at the moment. It's starting off well.
So Bainesy, what was he like as a young player? Obviously, a young player at Wigan before he went to Everton. Could you tell he would always make it, or was he one of these? And what type of thing, from your experience and your experience as well, Marv? What's the difference between a type of player that will make it and a type of player that won't? What's the difference? Because you probably see so many come through you, Franks. I mean, Marv as an ex-U team coach, yourself being that kind of at Wigan for so long.
I think it's to do with the mental toughness. I mean, you could have so many different things which could go against you. You might not be liked by a coach. You might add a few injuries. It's just the mental toughness of you believing in yourself and believing that you are going to be as good, if not better, than some of the players already playing in the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think with Leighton Baines, you know, the quality was there from a young age. He scored a magnificent free kick against Man United in one of the games. I think we either went on to win 1-0 or drew 1-0. I can't remember the result. But he was a very good defender. Contribution with the ball was fantastic. Great free kick taker. And, you know, he went on to become a leader at Everton. So that shows you the potential that he had at a young age, where Everton thought it was, you know, as he grew up and got more mature, he had leadership skills from then. He was a voice in change rooms and very, very confident on the ball and as a player. So another great guy to have in your team, works very hard. And to fit into the system, I need hard-working players.
Right, moving on.
Yeah. So moving on to the other side of the centre-backs, I'll put he went on and played for Holland, Chelsea, Birmingham, Dreadlocks.
I can't say his name.
Mario Melchior.
Yeah.
Mario Melchior. He was another one that came to Wigan. You know, obviously his height was very good, but he used to get forward with the ball. Leadership skill again. Another captain. Went on. He can take players on, contribute with the ball. Technically very, very good, like most Dutch players are. And he was a leader and he was a winner. You know, obviously you don't go to Chelsea and play for your country if you want a decent enough player, and he was a very, very good player.
Excellent.
Yeah, and he joined in after a few years. You're only there a couple of years before Mario joined. Did he kind of bring Wigan up a level just himself? Obviously, at that time, you guys didn't have that many players of that caliber coming to the club. What did he bring?
All he brought was experience and know-how. He showed you how to be calm on the ball. You know, obviously from where the teams that he used to play for, from Chelsea to Holland, and obviously went to a bit with Birmingham, he was very composed on the ball. You know, he could take players on, had a great sense of humour as well. He was like talking in the change rooms, and he was a leader. And like I say, I'm in still contact with him now, and he's such a great guy. But more importantly, he was a winner. You know, and he brought us to another a change of mentality regarding that side in terms of where Wigan wanted to go.
Excellent.
What was he like in a dressing room? Go on, give us a story. What you say, he was a bit of a funny man. You guys got on well. What was he? What type of personality was in the change room? Who did he get on well with? Who did he not get on well with?
No, he got on well with everybody. You know, he talked his mind, which I liked quite a lot, because, you know, he was very much says his opinion. Some people can get away with it, some people can't. But he had a certain way about him where he used to voice his opinion without always offending people. And as a captain, you need that know how to bring people together. And also how to get his point across without people taking it the wrong way. And yes, there's always going to be people taking it the wrong way. But again, he came with a wealth of experience and being in different change rooms and knew what needed to be done to, you know, to progress and win in certain games. And, you know, that's what he brought to the change rooms.
Awesome. And centre back then, or not centre back, because you've got full backs there.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to put another person in. Yeah, I'll change it. I shouldn't, but I'll change it. Just because you put that thought in my head now, I thought, you know what, I might need to, like, I need an out-and-out defender that's going to be put in there. So,
Yes.
Last minute, the team sheet was about to go in, and we just, the chairman came down and had a little word. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go for the original Wigan legend, Aaron Dazoo. Sorry. Sorry, my fault. But the reason why I put him in there is because he's an out-and-out defender, had a magnificent career at Portsmouth, at Wigan as well, led him to a cup final. Portsmouth, again, he was in the glory times at Portsmouth. I can't quite think at this minute in time, but he went on playing for another ex-player, Matty Taylor, in that era. So, he was, he went down to Wigan. He's still a class as a legend down there, led him to the Premier League, helped him get to the Premier League, played in the Premier League, obviously got into the cup final, and he's out-and-out leader. So, yeah, Aaron Dazoo fits into my the back three as an out-and-out defender.
So you can only pick 11 players, Boycey, and I'm interested now to who are you going to mention the player you've just left out there? Who have you put Dazoo in and axed out there? Who did you axe out? Who did you just get?
I axed out a Honduras international who was a fantastic player. He came on the scene from Honduras as more like a child than anything else. His first game, he locked out Cristiano Ronaldo. That's how impressive he was.
Oh, Valencia.
Valencia. He scored from the halfway line against Stoke City, one of the goals of the season. Hard tackling, Honduras international.
I don't know, Andrew.
Where was Palacios from?
Honduras. It was his teammate. Yeah, it was his teammate as well.
I've got the right country.
But no,
yeah, right country. He was. He plays in America now. Does he play? He plays for. I think it's DC. Is it DC or
DC United? That's where I am. Yeah,
DC United. One. It's two of them there. There's two different. I think there's DC United and there's another.
Nah, I'm not going to get him.
I'm not going to get him.
He plays in America now.
Who'd you throw out?
Maynard Figueroa.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, he was an amazing player.
No, but I think you're right. No, you've done even though you've changed it late. I think you're right. Dazoo for me, yeah. I agree. I think he just edged it for me.
Yeah, he's an out-and-out defender, a typical defender, and a leader and organizer. And I had the privilege of playing with him a few times, and he was a great guy. He's still, and the funny thing is about him, I spoke to him last week. Because he plays in the charity games. He plays exactly the same way in the charity games as he does as when he used to play football. Just used to take people out. Take people out. I ran past him and he had his elbow there and hit me in my ribs. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, sorry, boys. It was a normal reaction. So, but again, another great guy. So,
perfect.
So moving to my two holding midfielders who got a big job on their hands. The first one, he went on to play for Man United, captain Manchester United. He played for Ecuador in the centre midfield when he's played at Wigan. Now he's more a Man United player that people know him as a fullback and an attacking winger. Yeah. Very strong, fantastic with his right foot, and works really, really hard.
That's Valencia. Valencia.
Valencia. And I played behind him quite a lot as right back. He played in right wing, and all I need to do is give him the ball. He was so strong and ability to take players on, and obviously went on to play for Man United. But he was, a fantastic player, so quick as well. He went on to have a magnificent career, and I think he's still playing now.
Right, because he was one of those players when you at Wigan where you looked at him and, like you said, you saw pace, and then obviously being on the first hand to see that day in at training, he looked like when he went to Man United, he was technically really, really good. You didn't really see that at Wigan. So was he? I mean, again, when you train with someone every day, was he technically as good as like what he really was, or was he just maybe a little bit like a flash in the pan sometimes? as they call it.
Yeah, no, you probably got to remember when he was at Wigan, we was very much fighting relegation. So it's more a case of hard work than actually expressing yourself. And he done it for the team. And that what impressed me the most about him is because he was so hard working. And he loved to tackle as well. That's the other side of it. He loves to tackle. And obviously when he went to Man United, he could express himself. And he showed the full potential of what he had in his game. And obviously Man United is a great stage. Went on to captain them as well. And again, a guy that's very much will have the ball and take it for any situation and enter influence on the game, which he did at Wigan as well. He took us to another level.
Great player. Great pick.
Yeah. The other one is playing next to him. Yeah, other one playing next to him is his good friend as well. He went on to play for Tottenham. He started off at Birmingham, went on to play for Tottenham, and made a massive impact in their team. He had everything in his game. For me, he had everything. He could tackle. He had the technical technique. He can take players on, score goals. Everything he wanted, and a great guy. He was the teammate of the player that I left out. He came from the same country as Honduras.
Yeah, I won't get it. I won't get his name.
You mentioned his name earlier, so you probably would get him. Someone mentioned his name earlier. Went on to play for Tottenham after Wigan.
Oh,
you mentioned
Palacios.
Palacios. He was a fantastic player. To watch him in training every single day, the skills that he had, and he never stopped running. In Tottenham, he went to Tottenham and he brought another dimension to Tottenham's team at the time, but he never saw his full impact. I think he was more of a defensive player at Tottenham, but he could have everything: box to box, dribbling, score goals. He had everything. And obviously, circumstances in his personal life disrupted certain things, but he again, another great guy. Another great guy.
You got quite a lot of South American influence, or Central American, South American influence in there. Obviously, in your Wigan days, I wouldn't have imagined there's much culture from the South American, Central American up in the Wigan area. How did those boys? Did they stick together? Did they try and kind of embrace as many people as they can, or how did that kind of dynamic work?
At the time, we brought quite a lot in. Under Steve Bruce, he brought Palacios in and Figueroa. Henry Thomas came in as well. And then when Martinez came along, then we had a lot of South Americans. Alcaraz, who came from Paraguay. We had a few Brazilians. And he brought a culture change, Martinez. He brought a lot of technically very good players into the mix. And for me, it changed the way I view football. People talk about Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, and that was the same sort of effects that Martinez had at Wigan, where the British mentality when I was growing up through Wigan and to a extent Crystal Palace, it was all about hard work, and fight and get into people's faces and all that sort of stuff. Where Martinez came along and the South American players came along and the Spanish one, it was all about calm, about being professional as one, looking after yourself, a different dimension where. In my Luton days, just go for anything. Go for any sort of pain. Anything, just go for it. Doesn't make a difference. Or go out on a night out, for argument's sake, and, the cultural side of it. The South Americans came in and they taught me in terms of how you look after yourself, the core work that needed, and how you compose yourself on the football pitch. Don't be kicking it as hard as you can. Get the ball down and play. And it was I think Martinez came out Wigan when I was about 28, and he basically revamped how I played football. As simple as it sounds about passing the ball, simple. He literally brought that into my game where I'm used to kicking the ball down the line, Steve Bruce, everything tight, defend first, get the ball up the other side of the field. And Martinez, as we see in football, going now, it was all about possession based. Get the ball up from the goalkeeper and build from the back. And he taught me a lot from that football. And obviously the South Americans and the Spanish players, that's what they grew up in. That's what they knew. So it taught me a lot from the football aspects of that side of it.
Fantastic.
Interesting. So we'll then move on to your more attacking midfielders.
Yeah, another boy that he started off at Crystal Palace. He came to Wigan. went on to play for Nigeria, Chelsea, at Inter Milan now. I think it was in Milan last season. Don't know if he's still there now. Very, very good player. Can take people on, raw ability, scores goals. Went to Turkey, so Fenerbahce, I think he went to.
Moses?
Victor Moses. Very, very good player. Very, very good player.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't get a move to Chelsea and Inter Milan if you was, an average player, put it that way. And he's still got more to give. At Wigan, he probably expressed himself a bit more than he does at Chelsea and Inter Milan because he's got to be more structured. But another player that will run up and down. And the reason why I play him outside because he can get up and down the pitch. At Chelsea, he played wing back, and his formation, I'm playing obviously the 3 centre backs. So he's a player that can get up and down and trust with the ball. And
yes, arguably his best season I've noticed him for was that season at Chelsea, where he was that wing back under. Was it under Conte? Or was it under Conte? Yeah, which is obviously why Conte's brought him across to Inter Milan, isn't it? So, fantastic player, and it's really great that he's actually picked Nigeria. I think because the whole world needs to see him. He's that type of great player. So you're talking about on the right hand side, lots and lots of right hand sided players. Where did you prefer to play, Boycey? Right back or central back?
I like the wing back. I like playing wing back. Reason being is I could get up and I thought I was quite a decent finisher. And I started my career as a striker.
Marv, anything to say to that, Marv?
He's seen my goals. He's seen my goals.
Listen, to be honest with him, actually, I was there when you scored your first goal for Luton. First ever goal for Luton. Can you tell us about that goal, Boyce? I mean,
Do you know what? I have to give credit to Marv for creating my first goal. Yeah, Marv. Yeah, he tried to clear it. He tried to clear it. He got a bit of a head rush. He was in the other half, and I think the ball came to him, and he sort of panicked, and he tried to clear it, and it sort of came off the inside of his foot, went across the box, and I was at the back post, knowing how Marv kicks the ball. I just anticipated it was going to go that side of it, and I managed to get around the back and tapped it in for my first senior goal. So I have to give Marv credit that.
You know what? Everything was so believable until you got to the bit where you started off and said, Marv panicked. Everyone knows I'm that laid back. Marv never panics, Boyce. But everything else is probably right. I might have miskicked it and all that bit. You're spot on, but panic, no. Marv never panics. So that.
Be fair, I do think that was a shot that you did have. I think
it was. I shot. Listen, I'm very honest.
Andrew, bearing in mind, I scored on the edge of the 6-yard box on the far side. So it was Marv's shot, but it was going nowhere near goal.
Spot on. Yeah, listen, I'm very honest. You're right. It was a shot. It wasn't on target, and you anticipated it, and you did very well to finish it off. Yep, I wouldn't lie. It was definitely a shot.
So not a training ground routine.
No, it wasn't. It was definitely not a pass. I'm 100%.
So you were totally grateful for that.
Be fair to him, he did call my name. As he shot, he did call my name.
Just in case, yeah.
Was it your name he called? Was it another word we can't mention on this podcast? And then he said your name.
I don't get to ask him that one.
No, but I mean, just talking about your goals. I mean, we saw one online the other day. You put up when you scored 2 in a game. Was it 2 in a game?
Yeah, I scored 2 in a game against Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it's a funny. That game was a funny game. I came off disappointed and gutted in that game because I should have scored a hat trick. The first one I scored, it was a header, and then the second one was the volley from outside the box, top corner, which probably one of my favorite goals. And then last couple of minutes of the game, I got put clean through, and I was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper.
Really? What?
I was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and Roddy Yeager was his last game of the season for Wigan. He was about to move on, and instead of shooting, I tried to pass it to him to have a send-off. And when you're in two minds, and I ended up just passing it to the goalkeeper. I ended up passing to the goalkeeper. So he didn't even score. I didn't even have a shot. I just literally just chickled to the goalkeeper, and I came off the game gutted that, you know, that I didn't actually do anything, but scored 2 goals and yeah, it was one of them that got away.
So the game itself, have you actually got footage of the game? Did you see footage of the game afterwards? Did you actually relive the moment when you probably were thinking, now watching it, thinking, I should have shot there, or I should have done better in the pass? So did you watch, or was it one of them ones where it was just a memory of the game and you never saw the game afterwards?
Yeah, it was more of a memory. I never watched the game again, just seen the goals. But yeah, it was. I remember the game very well. It was we survived normally we survive the last game of the season. We always go down to the last game of the season for a number of years, and we secured our Premiership status with a couple of games to spare. So it was the first game that we could actually enjoy the last game of the season.
Right.
The ground was packed, and it was, you know, I played wing back that game as well, and I was lucky enough to score a couple of goals. So it was one of them games that got away in terms of a hat trick, but
wow,
you know, great feeling. So yeah, so moving on to my other side, another player that didn't fulfill his potential. He went on and played we bought him from Newcastle. He went on and played for Aston Villa. He had a cap for France. He scored a memorable goal against Arsenal for us. That helped keep us in the Premier League. He scored a goal against West Ham. Again, that helped us stay in the Premier League after being 2-0 down. And he was a match winner. A lot of people didn't really get on with him because he was a bit too flashy for some people's taste. But he was a fantastic player, a fantastic player who dribbled the ball, who could create something out of nothing.
French. He's French.
I was going to say Laurent Robert, but you didn't sign Laurent Robert, did you?
Nah.
No, we're not going to
get it. I don't know why I had him in my head.
Well, I'm playing for France. Charles Nzogbia.
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Charles Nzogbia.
Yes.
People didn't really see his full potential. And that's when he moved to Aston Villa, probably didn't have the right manager. Without being disrespectful to the manager, you know, certain players will grow with certain managers, and he didn't quite live up to his potential. Given the ball, he could take people on at will. It's just his attitude wasn't always the best, and he used to wind people up by wearing like designer clothes, like designer hat, designer gloves in training, just to take the mick, you know, out of people. Didn't always go down too well, but fantastic ability.
Yeah. Well, so in Zogbia and Moses, you've gone for pace.
Yeah.
So at your prime, how quick were you doing was it you measuring 30-meter sprints miles? Is it you do? You guys sprinters measure it in 20 meters?
I don't know. I mean, there wasn't no
as a professional. Were
distance.
you quick? Were you quick as a youngster?
Yeah, that was my strength. School days, no one beat me in school into my last year, and that's what made me so angry, right? Because I never got beaten in school through districts, through school races, nothing. 100-meter sprint was my race. And the last year when I was 16, about to leave, this boy rocked up with spikes, and obviously went to athletic club, and he was the only person to beat me in my whole of my school term. So, but as a player, I was quick. That was my strength. I loved the one-on-one challenges, and then my main strength was, you know, showing them down the line and then getting the tackle in. I was quite strong, and my pace was my main attribute.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you got those two on the wings. Who you can have as the main playmaker then to feed your two strikers?
He was, we called him a little wizard at Wigan. He was very, very creative. Scored against Manchester United. Went on to play for Scotland. Played for Celtic, Villa. He was technically very, very good. Small guy. Give the ball to him. He can create chances out of nothing. Yeah, he's
McFadden, is it? McFadden?
No.
Oh, what's his name? I know Aston Villa. He went to, didn't he?
Yeah, he was assistant coach to Roberto Martinez at Belgium. Done on the coaching staff for the last qualifiers and stuff like that.
I know it now. Oh, God.
He scored a great goal against Manchester United for us to win 1-0. Cut inside, curled it in top corner.
Sean Maloney?
Sean Maloney. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sean Maloney. I put him in there. He was another player that, once you watch him in training, you know, it was very, very good. He could do a lot with the ball. Great think of the game, and he came up with some, you know, some important goals. Great free kick taker, and a creative player, and obviously set up the goal for Ben Watson in the FA Cup final.
That's right. Yeah.
Which beautifully brings us to a segue. FA Cup final. Talk us through FA Cup final day. What was it like? First of all, in terms of getting there, and what was the feeling in the days and weeks leading up to it? Was it something that Wigan as a town embraced?
Do you know what? It was strange because, as crazy as this sounds, we had a more important game on the Tuesday against Arsenal to keep us in the Premier League. So going into the cup final on a Saturday, because I think that was the first time the cup final was in season. Normally it's at the end of the season, I think it is. Yeah. But this was in season. Man City were the Premier League champions at the time, I think they were. We played them 2 weeks before. And we come off that game disappointed that we didn't get at least a draw, let alone a win. Because we dominated quite a lot of the game. They only had about 2 shots on target for the whole game. And if you remember, Man City at the time, they're very much rampant, creative. And it was Tevez scored a wonder goal late on in the game. I think it was the 80th minute or something like that to win the game. And we came off disappointed. So we went into the cup final quietly confident, not thinking that we was actually going to win the game. But, you know, in the morning, I remember looking around and changing. Everybody was calm. The team talk was I didn't even really need to put a team talk out there. It was a case of, you know, I think it was something like look around, we're about to create history. You know, don't leave here with no regrets, play for each other, fight for each other, and believe. Believe was our biggest thing at the time. We had little Joseph, who was in the background here. He was our lucky mascot. He suffers from a rare condition. He wasn't meant to survive at birth. And I think he's 11 years old now. So it shows you like the determination that he had as a child going through, and he was classed as a lucky mascot. And I didn't know he had Joseph go on his back. I just simply asked the parents, can I carry him out rather than push him out? Because I felt more comfortable that way. And, you know, it's captured a lot of people's imagination and image. And, you know, I've got loads and loads of letters from that picture regarding that side of it. You know, grown people saying, they had tears in their eyes, how I held him. So for the charity, this went from a little charity to millions and millions of people watching. And, you know, it's the least I could do for that charity. But as the cup final on the day, we went into it confident. Martinez has said to us, just keep the ball and pass. That's as simple as that sounds, just keep the ball. I remember Dave Whelan came in before the game and saying to us, enjoy this game. You know, because obviously he went out, you know, he played in the cup, I think he played in the cup final and broke his leg. And he never, you know, got to play. I don't know if he didn't play again, or that always the story of Wigan. You know, throughout the years as chairman, he always used to come bring that story up about him breaking his leg in the cup final. So for him to be able to bring his team back to the cup final at Wembley was a magic moment for him. The game itself, Matt Manaman was someone that I wanted to get into this team, but Matt Manaman was on fire that game. A person who went to Luton and didn't, you know, it frustrates me, and I tell him straight, it frustrates me because he has so much potential and he's never ever lived it. That cup final, you just give him the ball and he just tore Cliche, who was one of the best at the time. You know, he created chance after chance after chance, full of running, take players on, and put Man City on the back foot. And the interesting thing about that day was we played with 3 centre-backs and we had no main striker. So Maloney played in the Messi role, should we say, as number 10. And our strikers played as more like wingers than actually strikers. So Man City centre-backs didn't have no one to mark. But their full-backs, we kept them back. And we was on the attacking foot for the whole game. And obviously, Ben Watson came up with a fairy story tale. He broke his leg early in the season, came back, came on the sub, scored a winning goal. And it was a game that we deserved to win, you know. And you know, what can you say? As a young boy, you're growing up, Alfred Royce Park in Aylesbury, thinking about scoring the winning goal in the FA Cup final. I didn't score the goal, but to be able to lead the team up and lift the trophy was a magical moment for myself.
Wow.
Fantastic. I know, like I was explaining to Andrew before we came on, that both you and I have the thing in common of being from Aylesbury. And Aylesbury is a small town just outside Oxfordshire, which over the years, even before myself and Boycey, had produced a lot of players, didn't they, Boycey? I mean, I'm not sure if you remember Floyd Street, he was played for Aylesbury United, and there was a couple of other, I think, Palmers. I think the Palmers, there was who used to go and play for that team up the road at Shitty Ridge Road. So, yeah, there was quite a few who went there. Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it, obviously we won the cup final on a Saturday. We travelled back to Wigan. We didn't celebrate. It was not how I thought winning the FA Cup final would have been. We didn't celebrate or nothing. We had to prepare straight away for the Arsenal game on a Tuesday. So it was like we won the cup, and then we went to Arsenal and got relegated. So it was like went from the highest of high to the lowest of low in terms of didn't actually know how to handle that situation. And the fans, we had a parade at the end of the season, and we didn't know what kind of turnout it would be. And the fans came in their thousands to, line the streets of Wigan. And all the fans kept saying to us, we brought joy to their lives. We played in the Premier League. We always survived in the last day. But the fact is, we won the FA Cup and we wouldn't change it. If you're going to get relegated from the Premier League, this is the best way to do it. And nobody will change the fact that, we get asked quite often whether we change the FA Cup for staying in the Premier League. And not one Wigan fan that I've ever come across said that we'll never change it. The FA Cup means more to them than staying in the Premier League in that year.
Is that the same for the players?
Yeah, I think so. I look back at it now, and as a player, I'm lucky enough to be able to play in that top level for such a long time. But to looking back at it now, to actually have something to look back on and say you won, people don't really associate me or talk about me in terms of playing in the Premier League. They talk about me being a FA Cup winner, and that's a prestige title that not many people have got. He's had a fantastic career, and not a lot of people have got, and I'm lucky enough to be able to show my medal and have one.
What was the reason why? Because that's a bit of a shame, actually, what you've just said there, that your last game was after the FA Cup, because I know it would have been nice to be relegated but then go into the cup final, but I'm sure if you would have been relegated and then got into the cup final, there would have been like, whoa, even more of a bit of a celebration than probably what there was for you guys actually on the day and stuff.
I don't being honest, I don't think if the FA Cup final was at the end of the season, I don't think we would win it, to be honest with you. Reason being is because it was still in mid-season. Not mid-season, but it was still in the season, and maybe Man City was still focusing on whatever, and everything just clicked for us on that day. I still believe it was either one or the other. I think if we lost the FA Cup, we would have stayed in the Premier League. I think it was one or the other for me anyway. But I just think the mentality was like we had no pressure on us whatsoever, and that probably helped us more than anything else. And because we had the Arsenal game on a Tuesday, was more focused on the Arsenal game than actually the cup final. Yeah. So I sort of take the pressure away from us, and we just went there with freedom to play, not expecting nothing. So I think that helped us more than anything else.
And what was the feeling? Give us some words just to describe lifting that trophy.
It's surreal. Walking up those steps. When you're younger, you watch the FA Cup on TV, and you see the captains walking up the steps, and they always talk about how long those steps are walking up, and then when you actually get to the top of it and looking around and you just see a blue shirt, blue flags and all that, you have to pinch yourself. And then you're looking around, and funny, remember Stuart Douglas, Marv? Yeah. His mum was there. His mum, obviously, so as I walk up the stairs, his mum shouted me and grabbed me, and I'm like, what? It's like seeing a familiar face in a surreal moment.
Bev,
and seeing someone.
Bev. It was Bev, wasn't it? Bev, her name was Bev.
Yeah,
was
Bev.
Bev? Yeah.
We used to play with his son at Luton, where it started off.
Yeah. Talk of a fast player. He was a fast player.
Very fast player. And you know, walking up the stairs and she's there. I'm like, you know, it's like, what was going on here? And then the moment to lift the FA Cup and look around, and just pure joy that came out. And unfortunately for me, you know, I had to go and do a drug test. So I missed the celebrations in the actual change rooms.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So as I was on the pitch, celebrating on the pitch, and as I was walking back to the change rooms to go in with the cup, they took the cup away from me and I had to go into a room and do the drug test. So I missed all the celebrations in the change rooms. Yeah, so...
But they pull you aside and then they make you do that. I mean, the celebrations... obviously, everybody jumping in. What happens in there? Loads of fans don't ever get to see it. Obviously, they see some of the videos more these days in terms of the champagne and things like that. Or was the party pretty docile because, as you say, you had the Arsenal game?
It was no celebration whatsoever for me. Obviously, when I stayed in the room for quite a long time, so by the time I came out, everybody had gone. Everybody had gone in there.
You had to get a taxi home. You have to get a taxi home. Yes. The bus had gone.
Yeah, so everyone was on the bus waiting for me. So, you know, and I had to go back up. I had to go up the stairs and collect the everybody left the trophy. So I was unlucky enough to be able to get a picture with the trophy and everything like that. And obviously, I'll take it with my family and then take it back on the bus. But everybody already had their celebrations done, and everybody's back on the bus waiting to go back home. And I had to wait for me to finish my drug test and then, you know, then go back on. So for me, it's strange, you know. This moment where you see the celebrations and think about how you celebrate, to actually was no celebration whatsoever. Got back on the bus, went back to Wigan, had a day off, and everybody around us won on the Sunday. So it was sort of like, again, it was like a feeling up there to actually on a Sunday watching all the other results, and you're thinking, okay, we're in trouble now. We've got to actually go to Arsenal, who hadn't played for 2 weeks, was chasing the Champions. Arsenal needed to win to get into the Champions League. So we already knew the task ahead of us. Yeah. And I think we went into the game I think we went into half-time 1-1. So, and then about the 50th minute, we just blew up. We had nothing left in the tank. And obviously, they scored, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Thanks for that. So, strikers. Are we going to hear any Palace players or any Blackpool players? Or are we all Wigan?
Yeah, well, I got one Luton player in there before. This one, I'll just get that in there. I'll go back to my Crystal Palace days on this one. A Bedford born, very good player. You know, he went on to play for Everton. At Crystal Palace, in the Premier League, we just set up as basically everybody else defend and just let him play up front by himself. And he managed to get, I don't know how many goals he got that season. He got a lot of goals that season, a lot of penalties. I think he got about 20 goals or so in a relegated team who basically defended and just literally said to him, "You do everything. We'll defend and we'll give you the ball and you just score us the goals." Yeah. And he was absolutely fantastic.
Andy Johnson, yeah.
Andy Johnson. AJ, we call him. You know, he went on to play for Everton. I think he played for England as well. Another player was Fulham. He went on to play for, you know, a natural goal scorer. Wasn't the biggest, but his determination, his work rate, finishing ability, you know, and you know, another great guy. And yeah, he should have. Well, he did. We had a magnificent move to Everton, and you know, became a hero up there as well. So, one of the natural finishers I come across.
Yeah, he always came across as quite a funny guy. Who loved his football, loved his mucking about as well. So it was nice to have that pretty kind of different personalities when you were in a relegation team. Obviously, you had it at Wigan for quite a while. You were relegated with Luton, so you had it for a number of times. Unfortunately, your career. Is it good to have some of those jokers around the place as well, like Marv as well?
Yeah, Marv was one of the jokers. Yeah, he was one of them. Yeah, but you need him. You know, obviously he was our captain as well. Sometimes just need to break the ice and keep that team morale together. You know, we're going to have up and downs depending on the results and depending on what's going on in the football club. So you need someone that can break the ice and not take themselves too seriously and also interact with the whole group. And that's what they tend to be. People that are quite funny and like making jokes, interact with the whole group, and which is always important.
Yeah. Sometimes heard as well about Andy Johnson that there were rumours going around the press that he played for the penalties. I take it there was no truth in that.
He had to do something because the rest of us was down an hour and a half defending. Nah, he was. Do you know what? He's one of them players where he was so quick and he was small. Marv will tell you yourself when you get those small players, the slightest touch they go over. And he always used to be able to get his toe in just before the defender came in.
Yeah.
And he's knocked him off balance. Some of the tackles that used to go in on him, were quite harsh as well. So, as a striker, you need to make your opportunities, and it is part of the game. And the defenders, as we know, we have to be smart enough not to put ourselves in a situation where we're giving the referee a decision to make. And AJ was very, very good at committing defenders and making them dive in on the challenges, which more often than not got him a penalty.
Excellent.
Yeah. So last
big
up,
man next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my the main one for me was a target man who would, if in a team, he would have done very, very well with AJ. Probably one of the most underrated players that's around, to be honest with you. He gets a lot of stick. I don't understand why. He's had a fantastic career. Started off at Leicester, went on to play for Liverpool, England, scored in that famous, I think it was 5-1 when England beat Germany in Germany. Came to Wigan, a massive, massive target man. And the year that we stayed up in my first year in 2006 against Sheffield United, he was our main striker, but I was also our main defender. Anything that came into that box, he got away, or anything in attacking, he held up. And he was unplayable that day. I've had a couple of battles against him. Very, very strong. Can't get the ball off him, and very, very good technically. And he scored some good goals from outside the box that people don't always associate with him with. But the most humble of humble guys that you'll ever come across. He's
Emil Heskey.
Emil Heskey, yeah. Emil Heskey, what a player. The compliments that he gets from former teammates anyway. You hear Michael Owen and Robbie Fowler saying he's the best player to play with because he does so much work outside the box that if he was probably more selfish enough, he will score more goals. But he done everything for the team. And as I said, that Sheffield United game, his job was to attack and be our main attacker. He's been our main defender. And without him, I don't think that we would have survived that game and survived relegation because, he brought so much to the team, a leader of leaders in terms of his presence on the pitch. And I say he gets so much stick, I don't understand why. But for me, he was a fantastic player, fantastic leader, and again, I can't talk high enough about his personality.
I agree with you. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Oh no, anyway, so he does get so much stick because I feel that it's not really fair, to be honest, like you said, because if you speak to the likes of Owen and Fowler, they compliment him so much. And even as a youngster at Leicester, was it Leicester he started? Emil Heskey,
yeah.
Leicester?
Yeah.
He was like, he was a young kid, but like at the same time, a beast playing in a man's game and holding his own. So I just don't know why it is that over the years, I think, especially when he was playing, that people gave him a lot of stick, saying he doesn't really do this, he doesn't really do that. And those are the players probably who are doing the most work out of everyone when you're looking at the team in general, especially when it was for England, because I think he got a lot of criticism when he was playing for England. But like you said, it's very unjust.
Yeah. And I say, and he scored a lot of goals for us that season as well. He came in and say it was a bit. I think he came from Liverpool. I can't quite remember where he came from regarding when he came to Wigan, but I remember he signed the same time as me. And I'm coming from Crystal Palace, and we had a few superstars in that team. But going to Wigan and you're playing with Emil Heskey, who just played for England, played for Liverpool. For me, it was a massive, massive eye-opener. Again, how he handled himself, the way he used to train, the knowledge he had of the game was valuable to me. And again, playing against him in training, benefited me so much playing against bigger players on a Saturday in the Premier League. And if you can mark Heskey in training, when it comes to other players on the pitch on the Saturday, you know what I mean? You fancy your chances against the other people on the pitch.
Correct.
So, he was, a fantastic guy. Again, the most humble, and, you know, I still talk to him now, and he's a great guy.
Excellent. So now we come to the manager. Who's going to lead this team? Who's been the best manager? Well, I mean, you've played under a lot of good managers, but who's the one manager you've gone for to lead this team?
It was choice between the two. One was a personal one for me. You always have a manager who believes in you, and Ian Dow was a manager that believed in me at my Crystal Palace day, and that's probably the strongest and fittest I ever felt in my whole career regarding him, and the belief that someone put into you in terms of how you play your game. He knew your strength, he knew your weaknesses, and he just let you play. He was that manager to me, and I owe him quite a lot regarding my career and my development. But to manage this team, for me, it only can be one person. The style of football I want to play, possession-based, dominating that ball. He obviously manages now Belgium, the national team. Went on to manage Everton, won the FA Cup at Wigan. It just shows you the progress he had in his career in terms of managers.
Yeah, I mean, Martinez has done great to come all the way across from, as well as that, from Swansea. A lot of people don't realise he was at and played a bit of time as well in English football. A lot of people think he just managed in England, but he also obviously played as well for a little while. Also played at Wigan as well, I think, didn't he? So he's always had that link to Wigan. Yeah,
he played at Wigan in the class of the Three Amigos when he first come in the lower leagues. But you know, when he first came to Wigan, we had Steve Bruce before, who was very much defensive. And, you know, you see the Newcastle's team now, very much disciplined, defensive, tight, don't give nothing away. And Roberto came in from Swansea, and he told us, look, I don't want to play that. I want to play expansive football, possession-based, get the ball from the goalkeeper. And we're looking at him thinking, we just finished 11th in the Premier League, one of the best seasons that we had, kept so many clean sheets, hard to beat. And now you want to tell us to play this expansive football. No, I mean, we was like shaking our heads thinking, it doesn't make sense. But be fair to him, he stuck to his principles, his philosophy. And when it went right, you know, we went on to beat Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, you know, Arsenal, biggest clubs that we had never beaten before. And we went on to beat these teams. And we always managed to survive in the last day of the season. Philosophy-wise, he believed in it. Believed in his players, give him a chance, keep the ball. Tactically, he was very, very advanced. And as I say, he just believed in his way of playing football. Whether we went to Tottenham, lost 9-1. And first time in my career, first time in my life, even in schoolboy football, I never lost 4. You know what I mean? 4-0, let alone I'm losing 9-1 in the Premier League. And we went there the year after, and we beat him 1-0. Just purely because he believed in his own philosophy of how we played. And he never changed it. And fair play to him. You say he won the FA Cup playing that way, and now playing Man City in the cup final. Yeah.
Excellent.
What's are you still in contact with Martinez on a kind of personal level? And I mean, what's he saying to you in terms of, obviously he's at Belgium right now and coaching them? What does he say? Has he mentioned differences or what he enjoys or anything like that? What's he saying there?
Yeah, he plays in the charity game every year as well, which, you know, credit to him. We play at Ashton Town, you know, a non-league team. And he comes over for the charity as well every single year. And even last year, he came out, last game we played, he was preparing for for Belgium in that competition. And he still flew in and showed his face for the charity, and then flew back out to get for the team. So that shows you the credit of the guy. As a person, you know, he's always welcoming. You can pick up the phone to him and you can ask the question, whatever it is. He always answers the phone and he'll get back to you. The difference is, he probably mentioned quite, it's just ability. You know, I think if you're managing De Bruyne and some of the players that he got at his disposal, Hazard and that, you know, all he can be is in awe of the talent that's there. And, you know, coming from Wigan, coaching the players at Wigan to coaching the players at Belgium. You know, but it gives him a license to put his philosophy across, which he is doing, and he's making great success of it.
Definitely.
Excellent. So, Boycey, want to thank you for coming on My Best 11. Just so that, you know, for some of the listeners, what are you at now? What sort of things are you doing now? Are you still involved in the game? You've mentioned about the charity, and I know you've got your own like podcast as well. Just give us a little bit about what you're up to now.
Yeah, I've recently come out of retirement and going back to playing for, as I said, the Ashton Town. I've come back to play for them for a little bit. I'm doing my own academies here up north. Also about to launch one in Barbados as well as my foundation in Barbados. I feel like I've got a platform to give something back to the country. Barbados, I play for them at international level, and you know, we're trying to create opportunities for younger generations to come through, whether it's through football, education based, anything. Just trying to create pathways and make an impact, positive impact in people's lives. So that's one of my ambition and goals to achieve launching the foundation, is to create opportunities. Also helping the Barbados Football Association with the strategy of Barbados football, trying to help again create pathways for the national players, not just in football in terms, but as a person that has knowledge, so they give the opportunities when they do go on trials to other countries, to give them know-how and understanding what it is to make it into a professional game. But more than anything, I'm just enjoying life. You know, and I think you can't take that for, you know, especially with this pandemic that's going on. You know, I think it's just important to enjoy life. I'm lucky enough to be an ambassador of Street Soccer USA, who are a homeless organisation, and an ambassador for Wigan Health Group, which is a mental health a group. And you don't realise so many people's stories, and a simple hello, simple being there has so much impact on people's lives, and you know, that's the least I can do. So for me, I'm just enjoying life and enjoying listening to people and contributing to what I can contribute to.
Excellent. And your own podcast, is it the Emmerson Boyce podcast? And I know you've just had a couple of episodes, and it's quite new, similar to ourselves. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Emmerson Boyce podcast is just been launched. It's just a case of, you know, as yourself, and I'm hoping to get you on very, very soon. It's just a case of former players, current players, anyone that's connected to football, to give an insight, whether it's through mental health, whether it's through their own experiences in football, and outside of football. We want to hear the success stories, let alone, you know, people hear about bankruptcy and what happens to footballers when they fall off. But we want to hear the success stories as well. So it's something that I'm very interested in doing. So I just thought, you know what, you know, this minute in time, let's go and do the podcast. And you know, it's again, you know, just like yourself, hearing people's stories and getting people back in contact, and you know, there's a lot of players out there who fallen out of the game, who but got so much experience and stories to tell that gets lost. So exactly the same as your podcast we're doing now, is hearing former players' stories.
No, that's excellent. And just for me, being an ex-teammate of yours, I'm always, I mean, I said to Andrew, I'm always interested in what is your most memorable Luton game and why?
The most memorable I've got two. Reasons being,
excellent. Go on.
I've got two. One, obviously, my first goal, my first a senior goal, which Marv has, as he said before, had a massive influence on. The Aylesbury connection. I thought he was going to say that, but hey, and then, you know, to score your first goal at that level, you know, was a dream come true for me. I never knew where my career would end up from there. Another game was the Brentford game. I scored two against them as well. And again, could have scored a hat-trick. So, you know, to score as a defender 2 goals in a game, you don't get that often. So, you know, that's one of the 2 games that I remember the most.
Excellent. Andrew, anything?
No, it's just lovely to hear from somebody so passionate still about football and somebody still heavily involved. And also, yeah, mental health wise, I think it's a fantastic message to try and get across there, especially with, well, not just the pandemic that's going on across the world, but just generally speaking. It's a really great message to put across. So are there any particular websites or anything like that regarding mental health that people should be aware of or that you know of, Emmerson?
No, I wouldn't say particularly website. I think if you're got any concern or anything, just get to your local one. Cancer. I've gone to a counsellor myself when I came out of football, and forget about the stigma. It helps to talk. So I wanted to say one of them. I'd just say, if you're in whatever area you're in, just pick up that phone and contact your nearest counsellor, or just talk to a friend or talk to anybody. And to get, not get some help, but just get some advice and just share the burden.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I agree. Awesome. Well, thanks very much for your time, Emmerson Boyce, and listening to your starting 11, my best 11 team is fantastic to hear, and looking forward to getting some feedback from the fans. And I'm sure you'll be more than happy to engage with them when they have a debate with the team that you put out. Really great 100%. To hear, and thanks very much for your time.
Thanks very much. Take care, keep safe.
And you, Boycey, thank you very much.